He only meant to keep her busy, but within a single year, people traveled for miles just to see what she had built. The farm everyone laughed at became the pride of the entire valley. The lonely rancher who thought he was doing her a small favor would soon discover that the quiet young woman carried a gift no one had ever noticed. But success has a price. As her farm began to flourish, envy spread through the valley, and someone became determined to destroy everything she had built. Would one night erase years of hard work, or would courage win again? Stay until the very end, because the final lesson in this story may change the way you see every opportunity life gives you. If you enjoy heartwarming Wild West stories filled with hope, determination, and unforgettable endings, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Emma Collins arrived in Pine Creek with little more than a worn suitcase, a pair of work gloves, and a dream too big for the tiny frontier town. Most people dismissed her within minutes. They saw a young woman traveling alone in the rugged West and assumed she would soon give up and leave. Emma had heard those whispers before. She simply smiled and kept walking. At the edge of town stood Daniel Harper, a quiet rancher known more for his honesty than his words. He lived alone after years devoted to work, rarely speaking unless necessary. When he learned Emma was looking for employment, he had no room left on his ranch, but he remembered an abandoned farm sitting empty beyond the creek. It had belonged to an elderly couple who had passed away years earlier. Since then, broken fences leaned toward the ground. Weeds swallowed the fields. The chicken coop had collapsed, and even the windmill had stopped turning. No one believed the land could produce anything again. Daniel shrugged and handed Emma the rusty key. "If nothing else," he said kindly, "it'll give you something to do while you decide where life takes you." Emma accepted the key with a grateful smile. She didn't see ruins. She saw possibilities. The next morning, before sunrise, she swept decades of dust from the farmhouse, repaired broken windows with reclaimed wood, cleaned the old well, and began clearing weeds one patch at a time. Every evening she wrote ideas in a small notebook: where the vegetable garden should grow, how to rebuild the chicken coop, how to collect rainwater, and how to bring color back to forgotten fields. The townsfolk laughed whenever they rode past. "She's planting dreams in dead soil," one man joked. Another predicted she'd abandon the place before winter. Emma never answered. Instead, she worked harder. Weeks became months. She traded fresh eggs for lumber, exchanged homemade bread for tools, and repaired every broken fence with her own hands. Soon chickens wandered safely through clean yards. Wildflowers lined the pathways. The old windmill spun once again, drawing fresh water across the fields. Daniel visited from time to time, quietly amazed by the transformation. He had expected to find someone simply passing the days. Instead, he found someone breathing life back into forgotten land. One evening, standing beside the restored barn as the golden sun settled over the valley, Daniel realized something remarkable. He hadn't given Emma an abandoned farm to pass the time. He had unknowingly handed the right dream to the right person. Neither of them knew that the greatest challenge was still waiting just beyond the harvest. By the following spring, Emma's abandoned farm no longer looked forgotten. Rows of fresh vegetables stretched across the fields. Fruit trees bloomed beside the fences, and the once empty chicken coop overflowed with healthy hens laying more eggs than the town store could sell. She even built small flower gardens around the farmhouse, making travelers stop just to admire the view. Children began calling it the happy farm. Daniel couldn't hide his admiration. Every visit revealed another improvement. Emma had never asked him for money or favors. She earned everything through long days, clever ideas, and endless determination. For the first time in years, Daniel found himself looking forward to riding over the hill just to see what she had accomplished next. Word soon spread beyond Pine Creek. Ranchers from neighboring valleys came to learn how Emma had restored land everyone believed was worthless. She freely shared her methods: rotating crops, collecting rainwater, raising chickens naturally, and planting flowers to attract bees. She believed success meant little if it couldn't help others. But not everyone celebrated her achievements. Silas Granger, the wealthiest farmer in the valley, had spent years being known as the owner of the finest farm around. As visitors began praising Emma's beautiful fields instead of his, jealousy slowly replaced his pride. "She's making the rest of us look foolish," he muttered. Instead of improving his own farm, Silas searched for ways to ruin hers. One stormy evening, someone secretly opened Emma's livestock gates. Chickens scattered across the fields, several young calves escaped into the hills, and part of the vegetable garden was trampled before sunrise. When Emma discovered the damage, she quietly knelt in the mud. Months of work had disappeared overnight. Daniel arrived expecting tears. Instead, he found Emma calmly repairing broken fences. "We can rebuild," she said softly. "The land has already taught me that nothing grows without patience." Her courage inspired everyone around her, without being asked. Neighbors arrived carrying lumber, seeds, tools, and supplies. Families worked side by side all day. Children gathered the frightened chickens while older ranchers repaired the broken corral. By sunset, the farm looked alive again. Watching from a distant hill, Silas realized something painful. Emma's greatest harvest wasn't growing in her fields. It was growing in people's hearts. The annual Valley Harvest Fair arrived a few weeks later. Every rancher proudly displayed their finest crops, livestock, and homemade goods. For years, Silas had always won the grand prize. This year, every visitor crowded around Emma's humble display. Not because it was the largest display, but because every basket of vegetables, every loaf of fresh bread, every jar of honey, and every bouquet of flowers told the story of hard work, generosity, and hope. As the judges prepared to announce the winner, the entire valley fell silent. Emma never imagined that the forgotten farm everyone once laughed at was only moments away from becoming the most respected farm in the entire region. When the judges finally stepped onto the stage, the crowd gathered in complete silence. For years, everyone expected Silas Granger's name to be called. His farm had always been the largest, his barns the newest, and his wealth the greatest. But this year was different. The head judge smiled as he raised the golden ribbon. "The Pride of the Valley award goes to Emma Collins." But for a moment, Emma didn't move. She looked around, almost certain they had made a mistake. Then the applause began. It started with Daniel. Soon the entire valley was standing. Farmers, shopkeepers, children, and travelers clapped louder than anyone could remember. They weren't only celebrating the healthiest crops or the prettiest farmhouse. They were honoring the woman who had turned abandoned land into a place that inspired hope. Emma accepted the ribbon with trembling hands. "I didn't win because I worked alone," she said. "Every fence repaired by a neighbor, every seed shared by a friend, every kind word during difficult days became part of this farm. This belongs to all of us." The crowd applauded even louder. Standing near the back, Silas lowered his head. For the first time, he realized exactly why his own success had never brought him happiness. He had spent years competing against people, while Emma spent her time helping them. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Silas rode to Emma's farm carrying a small wooden box filled with rare vegetable seeds that had belonged to his late father. "I don't deserve your kindness," he admitted quietly. "I tried to destroy what you built." Emma looked at the tired old farmer. She could have reminded him of every cruel thing he had done. Instead, she smiled. "Then let's plant something better." She accepted the seeds. That afternoon, Daniel watched as Emma and Silas worked side by side in the same field, not as rivals, but as neighbors. Months passed. Emma organized free farming lessons every Saturday for young families starting their own homesteads. She taught children how to care for animals, grow healthy crops, and respect the land. Farmers who had once guarded their secrets now shared ideas freely with one another. Slowly, the entire valley changed. Abandoned fields became productive again. Families who had struggled through poor harvests found new hope. The place once known for failing farms became famous across the territory for its beautiful countryside and generous people. One quiet evening, Daniel stood beside Emma as they overlooked the valley glowing beneath the golden sunset. He smiled. "When I handed you that rusty key, I thought I was giving you something to keep you busy." Emma laughed softly. "You didn't give me a farm. You gave me a chance." Daniel nodded. and you gave this whole valley a future. The windmill turned gently in the evening breeze, while children laughed near the flower gardens and chickens wandered freely through the clean yard. The forgotten farm no longer belonged to one person. It had become a symbol of what hope, perseverance, and kindness could accomplish together. The moral of the story is simple. Never judge a place or a person by how broken they appear today. Given an opportunity, a willing heart, and honest hard work, even the most forgotten field can become the pride of the valley. Success is greatest when it lifts others, and the richest harvest we leave behind is not measured by what we own, but by the lives we help grow. If this story inspired you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes that hard work, kindness, and hope can transform even the most impossible dreams. See you in the next Wild West story.